The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I have a very special guest for you today, Jennings Smith. Jennings is an investment property owner, builder, general contractor, and property manager. Jennings, how are you?
Hey, Tim, I'm glad to be here today. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, man, I got to know right off the bat, this might be the first curveball question. I told you I wouldn't ask any, but here it goes. Were you named after Waylon Jennings?
You know, I wasn't. I'm a junior. My son is a third. And
Fantastic.
my great uncle was also a Jennings. So it's just an old family name, but
That's a great name.
He might have been named after my family, actually.
Yeah, he might have been. There you go. That's how you have to look at it, right? No, man, it's a great name. My middle name, people are always fascinated by where I got it, and I'm not going to mention it on here because the show's about you, not me. But maybe after the call, I'll tell you what it is. But so why don't we just get started from the beginning? You know, how you got started, and specifically how you got into what you do, being a property manager and buying properties.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I really got started back in 2008, 9, 10, which I think is kind of timely, where the economy really shook me. I was a contractor. I was doing custom homes and renovations, and I did all right through 2006, 7, 8, but in 2009, the work ran out and nobody was doing anything. And I was scraping by credit card debt. I owed the IRS taxes from the year before. I was renovating a house that I had bought. I was over budget there. And I just got to thinking, wow, I never want to be in this position again. And that kind of planted the seed, like, maybe I don't want to be a contractor forever. Now, fast forward, I mean, I did it for many, many years because that's how I made a living, but I felt trapped by it. And I started to buy rental property. I started with a mobile home, bought a double wide that had no heat, AC, no floor, fixed it up, placed a tenant. Within 3 months, they weren't paying me. Dogs were tearing it up. I got my trial by fire, and I hadn't vetted the guy, but I almost gave up right then. But I got him out. I salvaged that deal. I bought another trailer, bought a couple rental homes, and realized, okay, I'm building net worth, but this is super slow. To go one trailer at a time, one rental home. I've got to save up the down payment, and it took me a long time to get $20,000-$30,000 together to buy a rental home. And that's when rental homes were only $100,000. Now they're way more. But so I started to shift and look at, like, okay, multifamily, commercial, self-storage, maybe there's more opportunity there. And bought a course, started studying it for 2 years, and then finally pulled the trigger on a 12 unit. I got seller financing. I raised the down payment, and I realized this is scalable. I did this, and my bank account stayed the same. I found the deal. I found the investor. I can do this again. And so I continued to go, and we scaled that to, where we are now, which is 1,000 doors and 500 self-storage units. And I've, since sold my construction company. I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm much, much happier.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's really nice to hear a story like that, where whether you were in construction, general contracting, it doesn't matter what you did. You got out of your situation because you just weren't happy with it, and you found some solace somewhere else. Fantastic story. I love it. I love it. So tell me about where you're at now. I mean, are you still buying properties? Is it just multifamily? How many doors do you have now? And then I always like to hear about how you vet and how you find the right property manager for those properties.
Gotcha. Yeah. So one of the things we did was we started a property management company, and I say we, my cousin, who was a realtor, and he was having the same challenges. And my dad's a realtor, a couple cousins are a realtor. I mean, we are a real estate family, but real estate is kind of like being a contractor. You know, you're very subject to economic ups and downs. You know, you're hustling. You got to kill and eat every time. Like you're hunting the next $5,000-$10,000 commission. You're hunting the next bathroom renovation. And so I told him, dude, we got to get into something that can pay us monthly. Like, let's
Right.
start a property management company, learn the business. And so because I had the 12 unit and I had a couple rental homes. My dad had a few properties. His dad had a few properties. So we cobbled together about 20 properties and we started our little property management company. And we quickly grew that to about 100 properties, 100 single family homes, and learned the business, but realized the money's not really in the management. The money's in owning these assets.
Right.
So I've got to shift. And eventually we sold that business, and we sold it for a pretty decent rate for only building it for a year, because it was a repeatable income source. And I saw, wow, multifamily. I mean, you buy a property that's got $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 a month in rent coming in. You've got a valuable asset to people, because people love that safety, security of that monthly revenue coming in. And so, I got away from the management, but I got into the buying, and we just totally shifted our focus. I was like, I'm not getting stuck in property management. I'm going to go, I want to be the owner. I want to buy it. I want to own it. So that
Yeah.
was my shift from property management, but we still have we got about 4 or 5 different property managers that work for us. And we have an asset manager, a consulting firm that is over them. And so we meet with them once a week, and it's really helped keep the portfolio on track as it's grown. Because, you know, a couple properties, not that big deal. When you start having, you know, 10, 12, 14 properties in 8 different states, it gets to be difficult to manage it all.
Yeah, for sure. Do you, I guess do you use your own money now, or is it, are you using hard money, private money? You know, obviously I'm going to guess, Jennings, this is just a guess, my friend, that the properties you buy today might not look like the properties that you bought 8 years ago. I mean, but I may be wrong. You tell me, but and how are you financing those deals now?
Yeah, so I've completely quit buying trailers and single family
Right.
homes. I don't mess with them anymore. Not that I wouldn't, and I don't discourage people. Like, if you're out there listening and you don't have any rental properties, I think a mobile home or a 3-bed, 2-bath brick ranch with a 1-car garage, that's a great place to start. You know, get some momentum going, build some confidence,
Yeah.
and get some wins. Because a lot of it is just mental. Like, I don't think I can do that. And then once you do it, you realize, oh, well, if I can do that, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can do a 12 unit or an 8 unit.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do a 30 unit. And so, yeah, I'm not looking at stuff that's real small. But I mean, we just closed a 34 unit like 2 weeks ago. And so I've still entertained smaller deals. I mean, I'd love to get the bigger ones, but you gotta make sure they're a great deal to buy them. But yeah, as far as structure, I started with this. Might be interesting to your listeners, because a lot of people haven't heard of structuring deals this way. I've started with a joint venture, and it was just 60-40. I got 60 and he got 40. And you might think, well, the money guy should get more equity, and he said that. And I said, well, this is a great deal. I've got the deal. I've got the loan set up with the seller, and I need $100,000. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have $100,000. There's not a lot of people that have this 12 unit under contract for $250,000. This is a great deal. He's like, all right, you know, I'll do the deal. And so we did the deal straight up 60-40, and we sold it 18 months later and made about $150,000. So we sold it for $410, bought it for $250. So it was a great,
that's great.
Home run deal for everybody.
Yeah. For a 12 unit.
12
Really?
unit. Yeah.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
And so that was my first syndication. And then, or not, that was just a JV. But then the next deal I did was a full on syndication. It was an 18 unit. We turned it into a 19 unit. There was an additional unit, and we raised the money. But I connected with this really wealthy dude, and he was going to get me the loan, and he was going to bring all the money. And so he went to his investor base and got a little bit of the money, and they put their own money in, and we closed that deal. So now I had a 12 unit, I had a 19 unit, and the next deal was 63 units. And that was a big deal, like $5 million,
Yeah.
kind of scary at the time.
Yeah.
And I needed to raise 1.2 million to close this deal. And I did not have, this was probably 3 years ago, 3.5
Yeah.
years ago. And I didn't have much money.
Yeah.
So I definitely wasn't putting the money down. And the guys, the rich guys, they were like, yeah, we'll help you get the loan, but we're not putting any money in this deal. We just sunk a couple $100,000 in this deal. We're not putting any money in this deal. So if you want to close this deal, you got to raise the money. And I go to my network and somebody I know says, hey, I can get you $1 million. Just raise 200 grand. I'll get you the other million. Give me some equity in the deal and we're good to go. I'm like, awesome. My problems are solved.
Right.
Well, 3 weeks before the closing, he's awfully quiet. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? Do you got the money? Like, are we good to go? And he's like, Jennings, I thought I could raise the money. He was a house flipper. He had a lot of investors, but they didn't want to transfer into a different asset. They liked single family homes and they didn't want to go into multifamily. And so he's like, I got 200 grand. So we're closing in 3 weeks and we're 800K short.
Woo.
And so I'm thinking, okay, so all hands on deck, myself, my cousin. I call the rich guys. I'm like, guys, look, I need help. Like we got to get this thing done. So they started calling their connections. We started calling our connections, and we ended up getting the money raised, getting the deal across the finish line and getting it closed. And the way we structured that was unique. So if you're listening, it was a 10% preferred return paid monthly current. Okay. So this was a heavy value add deal, and we paid a 10% per year. So if you put in 100 grand, you're getting a check for like $833 a month right out of the rip from closing.
Wow.
And so, you know, we overfunded the raise. If you're experienced in real estate, you know that we probably overfunded the raise a little bit and put a little bit more stress on the deal. I'm not saying I would recommend that as for newbies, but that's what we did.
Right.
But in exchange for that, we only gave away 20% of the equity of the deal because they were getting most of their money up front in a preferred return.
Yeah.
So we're on the hook to pay 10%. The first 10% of the deal has to go to those investors. And then everything beyond that, we split it 80-20, 80% going to the general partner side, 20% going to the limited partner side.
Yeah.
And you may be listening as a limited partner or a fund manager and think, well, who would go for that? But I mean, I've bought like $40 million worth of real estate in that structure. So people do go for that structure because they like that monthly check. You know, they like that they're in line for the first 10%.
Right. That preferred ranking helps a lot.
And we're getting them their money back in 18 to 24 months. Like we only would do that type of structure on something that we could refinance in less than 2 years. So it's hard to find deals that fit that parameter. And when you do, they're home runs. And so people, they really want to be in those deals.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, we work our plan, we refinance. So now it's like, hey, I got 10% on my money while I was in the deal. I got my money back in 18 months. I can put it into another deal, or I can put it back in my bank account. And I'm getting a little check every month. And whenever they sell the building down the road, I'll get another little windfall. And they equal, 20 to 30% return. So I'm beating other syndications return wise. I'm keeping most of the equity. So that's a unique way to structure deals that you may not be thinking about doing, but it's effective.
I'm gonna rewatch this when it's over and take some notes. That I like that. I like that upfront preferred part. That I can't see how anybody wouldn't be enticed by that for sure. Well,
and the deal we just closed in Ohio, 34 units. I mean, home run. Like I have a Facebook group with 25,000 people in it. They're all looking for deals from me, and so I get access to good deal flow. And we looked at, it was 34 units, 100% occupied, new parking lots, new roofs, 1.2 million. Seller financing, 5%, 6-year term, fixed. And so the down payment we did as a promissory note, we raised it from private money at 15%, and we gave away no equity. So we're just paying 15%, and the building was such a good deal that it could handle that cash flow. Now we got to refinance in 18 to 24 months to get the private money out.
Right.
But we could also sell it. We could also extend. We could also replace that with new private money. We have
Right.
options to go there, but that way we gave away no equity in that deal.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Those are the best deals. Don't give it away any equity, right?
I mean, if you can, yeah,
Yeah.
but the only way to do that most of the time is people think I got to have tons of money,
Yeah.
and then you're broke. Real estate people go broke because not because they don't have equity, it's because they don't have any money in the bank. And
Right.
so you asked me if I'm using my own money, and like, no, I'm my money sits in my bank accounts or in liquid assets that I can get it out within a week or so that if I have an emergency, I can pull 100 grand, 500 grand, $1 million if I have to make something happen. Um, and I don't want to be constantly leveraging my money into the next deal and trying to eat the world. I'd rather get half a deal, a quarter of a deal, and keep all my cash than, always be cash poor.
Right. And that is cash poor is the term right there. You hit the nail on the head. A lot of people who invest in real estate are cash poor. So you said the state Ohio. Okay, so that was begging the next question. Are you specifically in certain states across the United States? Where do you vet your properties and how do you? Well, you don't have to give me all the secret sauce if you don't want, but how are you finding your properties? Boots on the ground, folks in those areas, or
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my properties come from my Facebook group, My First Million in Multifamily. We have a community there where we teach how to buy your first apartment. We give away tools there, PDFs, downloads, how to raise capital, how to create a compelling pitch. And so a lot of flow comes from that group. A lot of it comes from broker relationships that I have. And I would say most of my portfolio is South Carolina, where I am, and Georgia. Um, but we've got, some stuff in Alabama. We got a self-storage place. We've got a 208 unit out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love that market. I'd buy more there. We have one in Illinois. We've got one in Ohio, Indiana. So I'm
so
kind of all over. I'm not like, I like C-class cash flowing multifamily that has a value add component in a growing population. So if it meets those parameters, even if it's not necessarily in my backyard, I'm still going to go after that. I'm just going to get a partner that is local to that area or has
yeah,
local knowledge of that area.
yeah, that makes sense. So probably most of your deals, once again, a little bit of a assumption, Jennings. Some of your deals are being just brought to you. I mean, you're not actually out searching for them, looking for them. You've probably got enough connections at this point where they're hitting your mailbox on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I know that's probably not helpful to somebody that's breaking in.
Yeah.
But I think
Oh,
that,
it's inspiring though. I mean, that's where we want to be, right?
well, and how you get there is everybody starts. I started with a Facebook group with 20 people in it, right? And it starts with putting your hand up and saying, I buy apartments, I buy self storage, and telling people what you do so that they can help you. If you, we're so scared that, we're going to sound arrogant, or maybe what we are going to try isn't going to work. And then we're going to be embarrassed that we don't say what we're going to do. We don't tell people, and we're a secret agent, and
Yeah.
nobody can help you. If you're a secret agent, they can't invest with you. They can't bring you deals. So one is start talking about what you do. Talk about it online. Talk about it to everybody that you're, coming in contact with. Talking on social, and then cold call those brokers. Start those relationships. Like, yeah, you don't have a whole lot going right now, but you're an up and comer. Start building those bridges, and then also, I mean, we did a lot with cold calling. Just in your town, you see the place is boarded up, that's run
Right.
down, the grass over. It's like that guy's probably motivated. He's sick of that property and would entertain an offer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you mentioned the Facebook page a couple of times. Jennings, if I'm the new investor and I'm wet behind the ears, I'm really wanting to learn, how would they get in touch with you? Is the Facebook space the right place to go? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, the easiest place is just go to my website. My name, JenningsSmithJR.com, JenningsSmithJR.com Junior. And the Facebook page is linked there. My mentoring group is linked there. My podcast, Unlock Your Life, is on there. And you can get to know me through that website.
Fantastic. So this is the part of the show, Jennings, where I kind of let you take us out. Tell me about, anything that's on your mind, heart, soul, and just take us out for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that I'm doing this, the podcast and teaching the multifamily is because this stuff changed my life. I'm telling you, I was I was desperate. I was unhappy. I was going to work. I was going through the motions. And I feel like I know that there's a lot of people out there that they're in the same scenario as I was. They're repeating the same day over and over and over again. They're not happy with where they're going in their career and they're trapped and they don't have a way out. And they think, I need credit and I need money and I need connections and I need all this stuff. And they make up these reasons. And so they never attack the problem and the years slip by. And
Right.
so my vision is unlock your life. Like you can solve these problems if you start to educate yourself, to start to work on them, start to think differently and grow in that. And so that's kind of my mission, is to help people that were in the situation that I was, just trapped and not happy, to say, you can make passive income. You can do whatever you want. You can live life on your terms. You can build the portfolio that you want. You can spend time with your kids, your wife, your hobbies, whatever you're trying to achieve. It doesn't have to be this existence of just scarcity and scraping by and barely making your bills.
That's great advice, Jennings. Good sage advice too. There are a lot of unhappy people out there, and I think a lot of them would appreciate what you're doing for them. Jennings, I look forward to our next discussion. I'd like to catch up with you in the next 3, 6, 9 months, see how things are going then. Have a great week.
All right, Tim, thanks for having me on.
All right, bud.